Hi, welcome back to the channel. So, continuing for the changelog in version 3.1.7, we have the Esper balance adjustments here. So, we will take a look and see what are the other changes that's coming in 3.1.7. But first thing first, do take note that below is a preliminary plan to balance the Espers, not the final plan and subject to change. The final content we release in the future update may differ from this version. So everything that you are going to see is not going to be final yet, but we can already see on what direction does Dislyte team are going for. So let's start and take a look. First one, Cecilia. Her second ability changed from passive to active. This is good. This is good because sometimes what me and my friends are discussing about Cecilia's skill is that sometimes we don't want Cecilia to be too tanky, because if she is too tanky, then she will be the last one to die, and you can actually counter Cecilia by leaving her alone and just slowly kill her until all of our Esper skill cooldown are up, and then we decide to kill her. But if she is not that tanky, then we have no choice but to kill her prematurely, and the Espers that she revives can potentially kill all of us. So that's something that we sometimes discuss. But if it's no longer passive and it becomes an active skill, so we can decide when Cecilia wants to revive her allies, and that can change the type of the battle. I don't know how the AI are going to decide when the AI will revive their teammates, but we will see when the actual version goes to live. So this is going to be interesting, like at what point the AI are going to decide to revive their allies. So let's see, the changes are it revives and heals all fallen allies, healing 15% of allies maximum HP. Yes, that's the same. Grants them plus 30% AP. The first one is 50%. Each revived ally extends this ability's cooldown by plus 1 turn. Grants all allies shield for 1 turn. Shield strength 50% of allies maximum HP. Grants all allies plus 20% AP. So we don't know why they separate the 30% and 20%. In total, they are still the same 50% of the allies AP. So I don't know what the purpose of separating them. Maybe if Cecilia successfully applied the shield, then the extra 20% AP increase will be applied. But if it's failed, then this won't be applied. We don't know yet, so that might be one possibility. So if that's the case, then giving buff blocker to Cecilia allies before she decides to use her second skills will negate the 20% AP increase in this case. If that's the things that are going to be happening in the live version. So this ability's cooldown is not affected by any method. So you don't really want to use ocean waves in this case. You do want to have a Windwalker relic if you want to make Cecilia move faster. Otherwise, if you just want her to be tanky, then any other relic is okay. So essentially, if this ability is not in cooldown, when E6 dies, it will be automatically cast. So this is good. So if she doesn't have the chance to cast this, then when she dies, she will automatically cast this. It's the same. So everything from before the adjustment is still happening here in the new one. The only thing that it changes is the AP increase. So they separate the 50% into 30 and 20. So that's that for Cecilia. Next one is Sienna. The change is on her third ability. So attacks all enemies, damage 120% attack, clears enemy AP, yes, same, upon successful clearing, 100% chance of inflicting stun for 1 turn instead of 60%. So that's good. So Sienna will be more reliable in applying her stun. Grants an additional turn, yeah, it's the same. Cooldown 5 turns instead of 6 turns. This is good, because when Sienna used her third ability, she already gained an additional turn. So this cooldown is actually 4 turns because it's already reduced by 1 by this additional turn. So 4 turns giving attack and giving the chance to stun. This is good. So when she buffs her allies with attack up and speed up, she can use her third skill again faster to gain another turn and then reduce this cooldown by another turn. So that's good. Yeah. Next one is Sally. Sally dispels all allies. Dispels debuffs from all allies. Distributes HP evenly across all allies, grants attack up and recovery instead of just attack up to all allies for 2 turns. This is good. This is a nice little buff for Sally, so she can give recovery now. And next one is Gabriel. Gabriel attacks one enemy, attacks one enemy 2 times, total damage 140% attack, it's the same. Each speed grants extra damage to each attack, extra damage 0.23% attack instead of 0.45% attack. But this is for each attack, so this is going to be 0.46% attack. So it's a 0.01% increase. Well, I'll take it. It's just it's an increase. It's still an increase, yeah. Even though it's only 0.01%. Although don't underestimate that 0.01% because that's per speed number. So if Gabriel have like 200 speed, then that 0.01 will become 2% instead of just 1%. So yeah, that's a 2% increase attack if you have 200 speed. So next one is the third skill. So attacks all enemies 3 times. It's an upgrade from just 1 time. Total damage 105% attack, same. Inflicts attack down for 2 turns. Grants defense up for 2 turns. Yes, grants all allies immunity for 2 turns. Okay, this is the best. The reason is because Gabriel, as she is right now, she can already reliably stun her enemies if you give her Zeus relics. So, by giving her more multi-hit abilities will make her an insane stunner using Zeus relics if you go that way, if you're going that path. And also, this is great because if she is having so many multi-hit skills here, she is going to be a really good choice in Fafnir, because she also happens to be a wind Esper, and she has so many multi-hit abilities. So, and also her immunity and her defense up really helps a lot in surviving Fafnir's damage. So she will be really good later on, whether it's in PvP, whether it's in Fafnir PvE. So overall, Gabriel is getting a huge buff here. And next one, Brewster. His third skill gets updated. It's on the reload attack buff. So assist when an ally attacks him, the next attack transfers 1 debuff to the enemy. Okay, so the change is on the debuff transfers here. Restore Brewster's HP 10%, same. Gain AP 6%, same. 6 stacks, same. Okay, so the debuff transfer is the new one. Although it's not really the buff that we want, like transferring debuff is not really something that we are looking forward to, but it's something extra for Brewster to do something. So this is just a nice little upgrade. I do wonder, like in the future, like if this have many use later, but mostly it's just to keep Brewster away from any kind of debuff. So that's good. Hey, next one is Clara. So Clara change is on her first skill. So her first skill from attacking one enemy 2 times, it now becomes attacks one enemy 1 time. Damage 110% attack, still the same. Heals 2 allies. healing 5% of Clara's maximum HP, so it's the same, the heal, prioritizes allies with the lowest HP percentages. So in my opinion, this is kind of a nerf for Clara, because when you have only one Esper that is almost dying, then it's really a better choice to heal that ally twice instead of forcing yourself to heal someone else that doesn't require urgent attention at that point. And also, I usually use Clara to trigger Jiangman's Nether Bloom, and also to destroy like something like Fafnir's shield. So reducing that multi-hit from 2 times to 1 time really reduce the usage of Clara in some cases of like assisting her allies. So this is kind of a nerf for Clara. So I'm looking forward to her resonance later on. I kind of forget whether her resonance is a buff or is it like something that doesn't really help her. So this is kind of a small nerf to Clara. So we will see later in the future how she will be in her healing capabilities compared to the other healer Espers. So next one is Lewis. Lewis' change is on his second and third skill. So his second skill gains critical rate up 2 turns, attacks one enemy, damage 180% attack, inflicts sear. So this is the new one. Upon triggering a crit, gains an additional turn. So he can inflict sear now. This is huge. Because this is an extra debuff that can increase Lewis' damage output. So the third skill attacks one enemy 3 times, damage 260% attack, same for every 10% of the enemy's maximum HP loss. Damage plus 4% is the same, yes. All ability cooldowns, when killing a target, all ability cooldowns -1 turn, that gains invincibility for 1 turn. This is great. This is a huge buff for Lewis, because this will make his survivability even better later on. And he already have a lifesteal on his first skill. So Lewis can just go full damage and doesn't really require that much attention. He can survive on his own potentially. And most of the time, you will kill the enemy using your third skill anyway. So this will happen a lot more often in many cases. So gaining invincibility and allow Lewis to survive an extra turn longer is a huge buff for Lewis, and also giving him a sear is also increasing his damage output. So I can already see that Lewis is going to be a really good staple single target Inferno DPS for most players in the game. So if you haven't upgraded your Lewis yet, do so, because Lewis is really good. Another reason is because, you know, the SSM feature that is going to be gone soon is something that actually showcased to us which Esper that Dislyte think is the most OP in their element. So you can see that in the Simmer category, the best one is Raven. And then in the Inferno category, the best one that they think is Lewis. And then in the wind element, the best one is Ricky. The flow element, the best one that they think is Sally. And there's reason for each one of them, because when you do have them and you can build them right, when you build them good, they are a really good Esper and a very versatile Esper. You don't really require a lot of setup or a lot of requirement to be able to use all of them, and that's why they are the SSM Espers. And so that's Lewis. And then next, Anesidora. So Anesidora changed on her second and the third ability. So attacks one enemy 2 times, damage per hit, 30% attack, 6% maximum HP, same. Each hit has 60% chance of dispelling 1 buff. Only trigger targets Pandora box effect inflicts stun for 1 turn. So the third skill grants all allies speed up for 2 turns. It inflicts Pandora box on all enemies for 2 turns. After that, it takes action for 2 turns into 1 turn. HP minus 30% and inflicts speed down for 2 turns. Not applicable to bosses, gains an additional turn. So they move Anisidora stun from her third skill into her second skill. So now, and also her Pandora box only lasts for 1 turn. This is good. This means that Pandora's damage will come much earlier, and the enemy have less time to actually do something to dispel the Pandora box debuff from Anisidora. So the explosion happens earlier, but the damage also gets reduced. So that's kind of a both buff and a nerf. So we will see later whether this is going to affect much of the gameplay that we currently using Anisidora for, or is this something that we can work around. But the thing is that she no longer stun every single enemy, so only the ones that she hit using her second skill. So potentially she cannot permanently stun all 5 enemies and can only choose 1 enemy to stun. So this is really bad for Anisidora. But currently Anisidora is already considered like OP in her own case. So this is kind of like a really good balancing. So not going to the not making Anisidora OP anymore, but she will still be useful in many cases of PvE content. Next one is going to be Sender. Sender got changed on his third skill. So attacks one enemy 3 times, become attacks one enemy 1 time. Damage 180% attack, 6% per hit, so that's the same. Each speed grants extra damage 0.33% attack. Oh my god, 1% attack. Oh no, it's the same. Okay, so this happens because this is only 1 hit, whereas this one is 3 hits, so 3 times this is okay. So each hit almost so that 1% is like 3 times higher than the previous one. Okay, so each hit has 50% chance of reducing the enemy's AP by 30%, 100% chance of reducing enemy AP by 60%. So this is going to be more reliable, but the AP reduction is no longer 90% if you can manage to land all AP reduction. So Ascensions inflicts one stun for 1 turn. The third hit stuns the enemy for 1 turn. Okay, so yeah, it only changes Senders from multi-hit to a single hit, and it reduced the AP reduction to 60%. So it's kind of a little small nerf, but it's going to be noticeable when you use Sender in PvP, because most of the time, if you don't have Lewis, you're going to rely on your Sender to potentially kill the enemy hide. So without the AP reduction, the enemy hide will be able to move now. So we will see later. Dahlia. So Dahlia changes on her second skill. So attacks one enemy 3 times, damage per hit 50%, same 70% chance of inflicting speed down, same 50% chance of inflicting freeze for 1 turn on targets with speed down instead of 100% chance. So this is a nerf, and also the cooldown is increased to 3 turns. Yeah, this is a nerf to Dahlia, because Dahlia currently can single-handedly kill every single Esper in 1v1 because she can permanently freeze the enemy by herself. And also, if you have fast enough Dahlia, she can permanently freeze like 2 Esper at once. So it's already in the category of OP. But now they are balancing Dahlia, so she can no longer do that. So that's good. But the rest of her kit is still the same. So her other purpose of bringing Dahlia or buffing her allies is still not going to be affected. So we will see later. Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan have a lot of changes here, so let's see. Damage 220% attack, same, gains speed up for 2/3, so he no longer gains an extra damage from critical here. So let's see the second one, attacks enemy 3 times, damage per hit 70%, inflicts speed down for 2 turns after attacking and extends stealth by 1 turn, while in stealth damage plus 30%, same, dealing damage steals 10% of the target's AP. Since it starts the battle with stealth. Okay, that's the same. Attacks one enemy 4 times, damage per hit 60%. Each hit has a 50% chance of inflicting minus 20% AP. That's new. If this AP reduction is triggered, gains health for 1 turn. Oh my god, so potentially you can stay installed permanently using Xiaoyan, and he can no longer be targeted by single target abilities for the whole duration of the fight, potentially. So, but the thing is that they remove the ability for Xiaoyan to deal more damage the more debuffs the enemy has, because sometimes I do use Xiaoyan to pair him with my poison team, because poison team have so many debuffs on the enemy, so Xiaoyan damage get buffed more often. But right now they change his purpose from all over the place, being like playing around with debuffs and then playing around with critical, and into someone who is fast moving and then slow down the enemy, and also almost permanent stealth. So they are making Xiaoyan into a specialist instead of like this one, the previous one, because the previous one is really hard to balance your build on Xiaoyan, whether you want to go for damage, whether you want to go for utility. But in here, it's more specializing in speed up, speed down, and the stealth. So we can see like maybe Xiaoyan will have more usage in the future, but for sure that he will no longer be in the debuffer teams later. So next one is Lin. Lin changed on her third ability. So attacks one enemy 2 times, damage 140% attack, so that's the same. Inflicts fear for 2 turns, same gains shield strength 35%, same. When triggering a crit, gains 30% extra damage and 50% shield strength, gains 15% AP. So this is a buff. And also a good thing about Lin is that now all of her skills are going to be a multi-hit, so that's good. She will be better, much better later on in Fafnir, and also in some other cases. So I can see that Lin using Zeus relics might be a really good option for her, but still, she being able to only hit a single target makes her use much limited than the other Espers. So that's neat. Next one is Alexa. Alexa have also gained a lot of changes here. Attacks one enemy, damage 120% attack, 70% chance of inflicting miss straight up, so it's increase the chance. Redistributes HP evenly among all allies, heals all allies that are affected with Kiss of the Nightingale, healing 20% of their max HP. Dispel one debuff from all allies. Successfully dispelling at least one debuff will heal all allies, healing 20% of target's maximum HP. This is great. Although it no longer reduces the ability cooldowns, because this is what makes Alexa being able to consistently put Kiss of the Nightingale to her allies. But it changes her into a healer in the new version. So the third skill grants Kiss of the Nightingale to one ally. This ally takes a hit, will reflect 75% damage back to their attacker. Dispel one debuff from this ally at the beginning of their turn. This is great. So this is just like the epic version of Sally. Yeah, she is not going to be like a dedicated healer like Sally comparing to Clara and Ahmed. So for most cases, like a lot of players think that Sally is not a good healer. It's because that she is not a dedicated healer like Clara and Ahmed, who can, if you give them Avatara, they can heal their allies all day long. But Sally and Alexa is going to be like the same case here. They are going to be like an extra healer and also dispelling debuffs per turn, while also having a kit to keep their allies alive using a heal. So this is good, this is good. So I can see that Alexa being the epic version of Sally and having her in more use case for her to be used in some other content. We will see later. Yeah, Alexa by herself right now have a niche use already, but to counter certain Espers that deal insane amount of AoE damage like Narmer, Gaius, Mailing. So her Kiss of the Nightingale being able to reflect damage back to the attacker is a really good buff to have, but her use is still limited for now. So I want to see in the future that more players use Alexa, because this is an epic version of Sally. So next one, Meredith. Meredith, first skill becomes multi-hit, attacks 3 times, damage per hit 40%, so that's going to be 120% from 100%, and 45% chance of dispelling one buff instead of poison. So she is no longer able to poison her enemies. So the third skill change is reduce maximum HP. Same if the target's HP is greater than 80%, this ability cooldown -1/3. Wow. Okay, we heals all allies, healing 25% of damage dealt, grants all allies speed up for 2/3. So the speed up no longer have any requirements now. Grants all allies with 80% HP or above recovery. So this is something new. So instead of requiring the allies to be above 80% to grant the speed up, she can now give the speed out without any requirement and an extra recovery if they are healthy. Although I failed to get why do you even need recovery if your ally is still healthy? But that's kind of a niche change. It's like Meredith being able to reduce the enemy's maximum HP by 30%, up to 50% of Meredith's maximum HP, can put her to be like a damage healer, or a DPS healer. So potentially, if you want to know the number for this Meredith, imagine if you manage to give Meredith plus 50,000 health. So she having 60,000 health, 50% of that is 30,000. So potentially she can damage a boss for 30,000 damage using her third skill. That's the damage coming out from Meredith, a support healer, 30,000 damage. So yeah, that's her kit. So next one, Joser. Joser attacks one enemy. So this is also a full rework. Attacks one enemy, damage 30%, 65% defense. So no longer give defense down, but dispels one debuff from the caster. So that's new. Gains 1 stack of Bull Rage per hit taken while Bull Rage is active. Attacks will inflict disease for 2 turns, can be resisted. Gains 1 stack of Bull Rage per attack. So instead of per hit taken, he now gains Bull Rage per attack. Gains 5 stacks of Bull Rage. Attacks one enemy, damage 30% attack plus 190% defense. So this is a buff. Yeah, this is a buff. Oh my god, 190%. That's a 70% increase. But yeah, the thing is that even though Joser damage comes from attack, both attack and defense, you rarely will ever increase Joser's attack anyway. So this change is going to increase Joser attack by a lot. and inflicts defense down for 2 turns. This is also great. So the defense down move from his first skill to his third skill. Bull Rage gains basic defense plus 10% and resist plus 5% per stack. When inflicted with a non-incapacitation debuff, 50% chance of consuming 1 Bull Rage stack to resist this debuff. Oh my god, maximum 5 stack. This is a nerf. But the thing is that dispels 1 debuff from the caster, and then this thing here makes Joser immune to any kind of debuff except for this incapacitation debuff. So this is a huge change to Joser, and also he no longer gains Bull Rage per hit, but instead if he hits his enemies, so this is also a change. But no worry, because if you think that Joser this is a nerf, this is at one glance this looks like a nerf, because as a tank you don't really have high speed to be able to keep attacking the enemy and stack that buff. So this gaining Bull Rage per hit taken is supposed to give him a lot of stacks instead of him moving by himself. But there is also another way to gain the Bull Rage stacks, is by using his third ability. So 5 stacks of Bull Rage and maximum of 5 stacks means that using the third skill already put Joser in a maximum stack of Bull Rage. So yeah, it's kind of like both buffs and nerfs in this one character. So I do need to calculate this even further, because the stacks no longer able to give Joser up to no longer able to give Joser up to 100% defense increase. It's only 50%, so that's like cut his defense by half. But he gains something else in return, permanent immunity to debuffs aside from stun or freeze or sleep. Yeah, so it's a totally new Joser. So we will see later how he will fare in the PvP content, or maybe in the PvE. Who knows? So next one is Laura. Laura, after an ally takes action, grants them shield for 1 turn. The same shield strength 10%. This is a 2% increase. When an ally's shield is broken or dispelled, 50% to counterattack triggers once per turn. So this is a total buff for her second skill. Grants all allies crit resist and shield for 2 turns. Shield strength 20% of Laura's max HP. This is huge. Yeah, if the ally already has shield strength plus 25%. Yeah, this is huge change. I will max Laura once this version hits, if this is going to be the final version of Laura, because the reason why Laura is hardly ever used is because her shield depends on the ally's maximum HP. So if they are a DPS who doesn't have much HP to begin with, the shield is going to be small, and that's a problem for someone whose whole purpose is to just shield her allies. So being able to use her own HP to shield her allies will give insane amount of shield strength to her allies that has low HP. So this is huge, and also the shield strength is now getting an increase from 8% to 10%. So this is going to be a replacement for Benny. So up until now, I keep using Benny instead of Laura, because Benny's shield is much better than Laura because of this thing, because Benny's shield uses her own HP to give the shield strength to her allies, and that's much more useful than compared to this one. So right now Laura is a better version of Berenice, so that's really good. I'm going to use Laura if this version hits later. So here is Esper stats adjustments. Yeah, there are a lot of adjustments here, but this is expected, like this is just some tweaks of numbers here and there. You can take a look. So the most important part is the attack and HP stats here. So Ahmed have increased attack, have increased HP. Oh my god, Ahmed have all increased. Oh my god, there is no nerf on this one. Ahmed, oh my god. Era also is increased on her attack but decreased on her HP. So this is quite okay considering that Era's captain ability is also attack. So yeah, it's her direction there. Height, increase in attack, reduce in HP but increase in defense. So that's quite okay, although that's already the direction where height is going to. Because most of the time, if you want to build height, it's better to give him more defense compared to HP, because that way it's easier to heal height if he is at low health using Clara or Ahmed or any other healer. So Louis changed to his speed. Wow, this is good. So yeah, Louis, his biggest weakness is because he is very slow with 90 speed, like almost he is the slowest Esper in the game, I think. So increasing his speed is really beneficial for him. So only reduce in attack, but increase in defense and also increase in speed. This is good because most of the time, me personally, I use Oli more as a tank compared to a damage dealer, because his damage, if he's in a PvE situation anyway, his damage comes from the percentage damage from his third skill. So whether he has high damage or not, the percentage damage is what makes him really great in PvE. And also, most of the time, when you bring him into a PvP situation, you want Oli to be able to survive longer compared to the Esper that potentially the enemy wants to get rid of as soon as possible. This is quite okay. Sally increased to her speed. This is also quite okay. Thanks one. Increase attack, reduce HP, reduce defense. So he will have a higher damage. But the problem is that most of the time, Tang Xuan's problem is at his survivability. So this is kind of like a mixed feeling here. So next one is Trevor. Increase in attack, increase in HP, and increase in defense. Overall, this is all buffs for Trevor. Tricky, increase attack, reduce HP, reduce defense. So yeah, this is actually the direction that I'm going to with my Tricky. Yeah, giving him some damage, some critical there, here and there, because his kit is already good when he is he's alive longer. But the thing is, like in PvP situation, not many players aim for Tricky at the start, especially when you also bring Oli or any other DPS Espers in your team. So Tricky not always necessarily being the first target to be killed by the enemy means that he can have he can take his time to deal damage to his enemy. So that's the direction that I'm actually going to with Tricky. And the buff here, I think the developer is thinking the same thing with me. So yeah, Xiaoyan, increase in attack, reduce HP, and reduce defense, but increase in speed. So that's good. Yeah, he's becoming more of a like an assassin, like a ninja in this game. Captain ability adjustment. Increase attack. Oh, so the red twin is instead of increasing attack, now increase ally critical rate, and then the white twin increase accuracy in any content. So this is like kind of like supposed to be a buff, but this is actually a nerf, because most of the time you actually use the red twin to give more attack in some ritual miracles, in some cases like Chronos or in Fafnir. But the critical rate is something that most of the time a lot of players are not going to use, because critical rate, we are already aiming for that sweet spot of a soft cap of the critical rate in our relic anyway. So yeah, this is kind of a nerf to the red twin. And also the white twin, this is kind of a little bit of a buff, because you don't really use accuracy in PvE situation, but you use accuracy more in a PvP situation. So this is can be used more in a PvP situation, but most of the time we are not going to bring him as a captain anyway. So yeah, Xiaoyan attack in Hollow Battle changed into a PvE attack. So this is a huge change, because at the start this is quite like, you know, giving you a question, because Xiaoyan in Hollow Battle is a really good situation where the enemy cannot target him in a using a single target ability. But the thing is that Xiaoyan damage before this patch, before this new version, he plays around with debuffs to deal a lot of damage. But being in Hollow Battle, there are not many cases where you can put a lot of debuffs on the enemy. So this is questionable. And also, most of the time, a lot of players bring Xiaoyan into Ritual Miracle and Sonic Miracle anyway. So this is going to the right direction here for Xiaoyan. Next one, Alexa, HP in Point War, becoming HP in general. So yeah, this is quite okay. Joser, from not having any captain ability, now increase ally resist by 30%. So Joser is all about resisting that debuffs. So yeah, that's Joser's specialty. So they are making him that way. So Meredith, increase ally HP in PvE, now increase ally speed. Wow. Although he is a support, so this is not really as good as having Sander as your captain, but this is a nice change. Like we don't see that many Espers that can increase speed stats using their captain ability. So this is another speed leap that you guys can use in a PvE situation. Although not many people are bringing Meredith, but we might see a case like a niche case in the future where you actually want to bring Meredith in a PvE situation. So yeah, although I already said that her third skill can potentially deal 30,000 damage to her target, but that's just one time. It also after she uses her third skill, there's a cooldown after that. But it's an extra increase. So in a situation where you are forced to bring Meredith, you can use her captain ability in that situation. Falcon, increase ally crit rate by 20%, now increase ally speed by 20%. This is also quite okay. Yeah, Falcon is actually a good Esper, if not because Esper that use HP as their damage is not really going to replace any actual DPS that use attack as their damage anytime soon, because there's a limit to how much damage you can deal using your HP. So Falcon being able to deal a lot more damage compared to Tyr potentially, yeah, that's why Everett is still not really in the category where he can beat Falcon in every single aspect, because there's also still something that Falcon can do better compared to Everett. And now Falcon have a speed lead as a captain, so that's something new. So that's all the changes to the Esper balance here in the version 3.1.7. Do still take note that this is not the final plan and still subject to change. So everything that you see here can still be changed. Yeah. So that's That's all from me, so I'll see you next time. Bye bye.